It should be coming off the owl, but Tom, you may, your face may be, I don't know.
It's the same. It's the same.
But
I didn't make a change to minutes.
are those two agendas?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you something.
No, I know, I have three agendas.
Cameras.
Oh, these are the ones, it's June 5. Well, that's the stack of them.
Live streaming.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. So here's one for you, from June 5.
Yep.
These are the other two. And did you get?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out and try to get back in.
Oh, that says agenda, so I have to
Okay.
change it. on
Okay.
Email. Okay.
Scribble over that on this.
Okay, I'm running around.
Oh, no.
In what pages, it reflected the nice little bullet points, and I don't see bullets on the converted. Yeah.
Oh, no. That's all right. On the big screen now.
Yeah, I mean,
When the print-
I'm waiting for John to come back in so that we'll get it measure back to me. Second, John should help you.
Oh,
All right. Back to me. Can you talk on?
I can get it to unlock. Hold on. I'm still working on it. I can see you guys though, now.
Okay, we can hear you. So
I don't.
you could be making faces and we would never know.
I know, I could. Welcome back.
All right, we are live. Thank you. Thank you. Good to
Alright.
be back and we are live streaming.
All right, I will call the meeting to order at 6:06. And we'll go over the meeting minutes of the May 15th meeting.
I'm clicking the send button now, the actual final,
Okay.
because that was an old version that I converted to Word just now.
All right.
Okay, now it should be good. Where's it from?
So is this really, the one you gave us on a handout was the same except the word minutes instead of agenda? Is that the only?
This is the one that I printed is the one that I'd like for us to proceed on.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, the one I wanted to email out a changed version. And when I click export to Word and I'm trying to save it to my Town of Canton folder that I have on my laptop, something happens that I can't really explain and I don't know why. So,
Yeah, it loses the bullet points, so the formatting doesn't stay the same,
Okay,
but
yeah, it loses the bullet points, and so I don't know.
if you just email me whatever you got, I can
Okay,
dress it up and put it in the folder.
okay. Oh, I think, so the last one I sent is good without the bullet points, so, yeah, okay. Thanks for doing that.
No problem.
All right, I motion to accept the meeting minutes of May 15th.
Second,
All those in favor? All right, on to today's agenda. One thing I did want to bring up at the last meeting, I got an email from the Tonello Solar Project wanting to know if the $500 application fee, excuse me, that they paid for before the moratoriums and all that stuff went into effect, if we could indeed use that towards this one, because we never moved forward with anything. So I did reach out to Brian and asked him if that would be a problem,
right,
and he did not see it being an issue.
Okay, and they did
Yep.
send, Mr. Barrett sent over a copy of the canceled check, so the
Yep.
town has accepted their $500 to go with an application that never actually got submitted,
Correct.
so I think,
So
I agree, I think we're all good there.
we should be all set with that.
the question I had at the last meeting was, did the recommended $500, was that finalized? Did they, I mean, is that is the actual fee?
I think it's on the town fee schedule.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
So that worked out for them. Okay.
right.
Can I ask a question before we go into his permit? I see in the meeting minutes of the last meeting that because of a spending freeze, I mean, if we have an application that requires a public hearing, we need to proceed with the public hearing. We have to be responsive to that application, so I think we have to do that anyway. I mean, public hearings on ordinances, we can slow down an ordinance
Right.
process, but if it's an application that requires a review, I don't think you could hold the applicant responsible.
I agree with that.
I mean,
'Cause
if
it's
we
pretty-
have their $500 check,
Yeah.
technically that could be what it goes
Right.
for that kind of thing.
Okay.
Sorry, okay. And I was at a meeting the last 2 days in Skowhegan about, it's all about development across the state. And they were looking at, they had a lot of legislative people there talking about what kind of spending bills are coming in for in this fall in the legislative process for different things. So I don't know that, I think there was an initial panic and everybody was like, and now they're finding things are kind of waffling their way through. And by the fall, I think we'll see where things go. But I don't think it's, people are all talking about things have loosened or restrictions that were first came out have now been slackened back, but you don't hear about them. You don't hear about the slackening back. You just hear about the initial
Right.
thing. So we'll see how it goes.
I learned life continues in the sense that, I forget, I remember, I think under the, and this isn't to label anybody, but during the Baldacci administration, didn't they have to sometimes shut down government offices for periods of time because they ran out of money or something like that, or they, I almost seem to think that we've been here before, it's nothing new, you know, so.
No, and I personally, I think the overall, like the federal government just continues to borrow and borrow and borrow. And I'm like, let's just figure out how we're gonna balance our budget and pay down our debt. But
Yes.
anyway, oh, I meant to get a copy from Kathy of the town meeting warrant, because I'm assuming the cemetery ordinance is on the town meeting warrant, but I haven't seen it. Don't know for sure. Never got a clear answer.
Maybe it's on the town website, you know, they
Okay.
sometimes will attach it on the calendar, I wonder. That's-
Well, I think you just saw Kathy's response to my note,
Yep.
because a month ago I asked Brian, what's the status of the sewer ordinance? He said the town attorney had it, but the town attorney said he didn't have it. So I asked for clarification over a month ago and heard zero back. Kathy's like, oh, well, we've stopped advancing all ordinances because of costs. I'm like, okay, but nobody's communicated that, so we still haven't seemed to have this impasse where
Well, there was, what did they
I
also
just find that
say?
nobody answers anything, and that I feel slightly put out about that.
Oh, where is it?
June 12th is the annual, okay, here's the warrant on the
Okay.
annual town meeting.
So the sewer one, I don't know if you saw, actually, Dave, you responded back. The select board are looking at making some changes within the sewer department.
Well, about billing, but I don't think we had a specific billing process piece in that ordinance. I mean, if it was 2 sentences in that
Right.
ordinance. So it shouldn't stop the review of the entire ordinance because of that one piece. But no, I mean, Kathy says maybe, that's what
Right.
she thinks, but nobody who seems to be in the know has actually communicated anything, and that I
Okay.
find disconcerting, but. All right, what do we got here? Oh, and usually ordinances are at the very back. Let's go to the end.
If it's easier too, if it's any easier, I sometimes I'll put two fingers like this on the pad and I do that.
Or is that how you get it to go down?
Well, but the other way, yeah.
Nice. It's not going the right direction. Oops, that's not good.
I think I,
So I highlighted something. I don't want that.
I think I used to.
Sorry.
We'll have a Mac 101 for you later on.
It's got a sliding cursor on the side. I just had to find it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
you're-
every
Yeah.
time Rick hands me his iPhone, I'm like, oh, let me just push buttons.
Right.
He's like, do you have to? Okay, there is Article 48 to see if the town will adopt the town of Canton cemetery ordinance as presented. So, okay. I think we have to be prepared to present that.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
So Donna, can you hear us?
What?
Can you hear us?
Yeah,
Okay. So we do have to be at town meeting next week, Thursday. The
okay.
town vote is next week, Tuesday.
So we have
vote
to
on-
be there Thursday, we have to be there Thursday,
Yep, we should be.
okay?
And I'll look at the cemetery ordinance, and I think we'll have one or two marked up copies that show all the changes, which isn't much for the cemetery, and then a clean copy for people to review.
Okay,
Okay.
The town office should have that, but maybe I'll just stick it on Facebook again and say, hey, if anybody wants to look at this in advance, here's the documents. if you
Right.
just want to see them. Okay.
Thursday.
I did look in the box. I didn't see anything in the box. I don't know, have we been asked by the select board to do any reviews of building permits? So they've not
No.
asked us to do that.
No.
Okay. Don, I do have to ask you about taking your training.
Yeah. I'm not, I just found one on my email to sign up for something for the planning board, but I can't sign up for it. Somebody else has to do it. Won't let me sign up.
Does Kat-
You have to get an account at Maine Municipal, I think, and then you can sign up.
Say what?
I think you have to get an account at Maine Municipal.
Okay,
But let me see if I can sign up. I know the town is saying there's a spending freeze, but I know the training is also required.
okay.
So let me look into that tomorrow for you.
Okay.
All right, David, no. Stephen Bartlett. From, for the Tonello Solar Project. Let me forward you that in email. I did print that out and then put the application form in front of it and our application checklist.
Did they fill one of these out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he actually filled out the paper, because he said they're missing the noise
Yeah.
measurement for the solar application. But rather than wait until if we had a few minutes, we should maybe run through it. That was just a thought. Just gonna email that to you, Don.
They have an attachment called noise modeling.
Yeah, there were the. Equipment that they needed to use to do the noise. Study didn't show up in time,
Oh,
so that's why they don't, never have it done yet.
So go back to the first one. Oh, so we did send it to Kathy and to Scott. Oh, that's. Oh, so his attachments in a Dropbox, that's why it didn't show up. May 16th, let me forward this to you. Lot this is a long email string. 16. This is such a long string going back like 9 months, and it's got attachments at different spots in here, so it's hard to figure out how to forward just the one with the attachment that I want. Well, I will find it since what you got printed out here is that application. I'll send that.
Okay.
You did one I can figure out. So if we look at this. We received your money. We can look up the map and lot number, but it should be on this application. The BAP Corporation is the person submitting it. So they are a 996 kilowatt, which is just under the 1 megawatt that we have in our ordinance. So this would be then considered as medium, I believe. I do have the ordinance as well.
Just want to make sure I open the right one, because we have a bunch
Yeah, I
in our docs folder. Public discussion.
I don't know that, I just got a clean copy of the final one that's signed from the town office, so I'll PDF it and stick it in that folder.
Okay,
But here's the one, is it not the unsigned version of that? Which we said. One large array, 3 medium arrays. Unlimited small arrays. And the definition of a medium scale. Medium scale is up to, but not including 1 megawatt. And it is on greater than 1/2 acre, but less than 6 acres.
And we did the walkthrough, I remember that. That's
Well,
helpful.
they may have changed the spacing a little bit because we had put some more setback requirements in the ordinance. That were not there initially.
Mhm.
I'm looking for the drawing here. Where's the drawing? Drawing. So in his application, he's got the overall plot plan. So they are 55 feet back from the road, I believe. That might be the center line, and then 31 feet back from the edge of the road. I have to look at that map. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I think the fencing border around the plan is 31 feet back from the road, from the side of the road. So we have to go back and look at our ordinance, what setbacks we have in here. So we have the permit fee.
Oh, here it is, setback. Structures within a large / medium, we already said it's a medium, SES.
Mhm.
Shall be set back a minimum of 50 feet. With 25 feet planted with vision blocking vegetation intended to occlude visibility from all lot lines.
Okay, so I'm looking at his diagram. He's got 55 feet back from the road, and he's got 31 feet 11 inches, almost 32 feet back from the road for vegetation. What page is that on, Brad?
This is on page 6. Well, I pulled it up in the Google Doc under a document that says Canton Solar Ordinance, July 8, 2024.
Yep.
And then it also says any solar photovoltaic cells or arrays shall be subject to a maximum height of 10 feet above the ground surface. But let's see here.
So in his diagram, where it says vicinity map 2 on the right-hand side, it shows the maximum height of 10 feet. The panels there, he's got trackers, so when they're elevated and they're tracking, it's
Yeah,
saying 10 feet.
It'll be like the ones that are in leads.
I was in Dixfield the other day several times and I saw the big one that's right on Main Street that moves with this light.
Yeah,
It's like, I drove past it one time, it was in one position, I came back like 2 hours later, it was at a different position.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
it is. And it's to their benefit to acquire as much of the sun.
So I'm trying to figure out the actual area under the solar thing, because it isn't, I mean, look at the dimensions is 590 feet by 437 feet. With a portion of that like chopped off, so it's not a complete square.
on
On
this map,
All right, on here on the diagram.
he's got the acreages. Bottom right-hand corner. Leased area is 7.29 acres, developed area
5.75 project area,
5.75.
5.45. So what did we say for acreage?
Median.
I think we said.
A medium, it has to be a solar energy system whose physical size based on total airspace projected over the ground is equal to or greater than 0.5 acre but less than 6 acres. And or that generates a nameplate capacity of up to, but not including 1 megawatt.
Right, so is it 5.75? Is that whole area, including the fence, and the area inside the fence, that's gonna actually be the solar array, it's 5.45.
Acres, right?
Yep,
So the lease area of 7.29 acres, that includes the area of the buffers that they're putting in and just areas that may not be used by the solar panels, is that right?
correct. Excuse me. So they've got to get 3,200 feet to the substation. That'll be interesting. So I think they're crossing the road. It looks like from their substation, crossing the road and then running a line up to that substation to tie in.
Where's the substation?
But it looks to me like that's going across the road to get to that line. Well, unless there might be
Yeah.
telephone poles already on or power lines on the other side of the road, and they're just tagging onto those power lines to get to that substation. Excuse me. It'd be interesting to see what they're doing with the.
So on this picture,
Mhm.
the red dashed lines is this dashed line here. And that stands for existing overhead.
Oh, EOH, okay. Yep.
So they're gonna go across the street and then do lines up to a substation.
Yep. So they'll connect to the existing overhead lines. Okay, I see it now. Very cool. So I don't, if any large or medium scale is proposed on land that is changing hands, the description of the real property, blah, 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 should be registered. I don't know. I haven't read the verbiage. If they're not buying the land, they're just leasing the land, then there's no actual change in the. Don't lease the land. BAP Power will lease the land where the project is proposed. Lease agreement is provided in attachment B. Project's interconnection with existing grid has been approved by Central Maine Power. That connection agreement is included as attachment C. 2,000 solar PV modules attached to a single axis tracking system. Solar panels slowly track the path of the sun throughout each day, maximize electricity. Should some reason a tracking system not work, a fixed tilt system will be used. Ancillary electrical distribution. So I'm just reading this out loud, Dawn, for your benefit. There is ancillary electrical distribution equipment within the array, including inverters that convert the PV generated electricity from DC to AC. The site is enclosed by a 7-foot tall chain link fence. The project site will be accessed from Canton Point Road on a new gravel access road, approximately 250 feet long and 20 feet wide, I believe. Project location is the abandoned gravel pit on the south side of Canton Point Road. I don't think you were here, Don. We went over and walked this site when they first proposed this about 18 months ago or longer. It's been maybe 2 years. And it's, if you go past the trailer park on Canton Point Road, it's on the same
Right.
side, just past that.
Going towards Dixfield or coming,
No, going towards Dixfield.
going towards, okay.
So it's an abandoned gravel pit.
Mhm.
The bottom elevation of the pit where the project is proposed, it's about 20 feet below the elevation of the roadway. And they're quite a ways back from the river, it looks like. Well, maybe not. In one spot, it looks like they're 30 feet back from the flood hazard zone. But more like 250 feet back from the actual river.
And we even had the CEO join us on that walkthrough.
Yeah, he came. Yeah.
Did they
though he
hire
didn't-
one?
No, when we did our walkthrough a couple years ago, we had the code enforcement officer with us at the time.
Of course, we didn't have this to go, I mean, the ordinance to go by.
That's right.
You pointed it.
That's right. Yeah, they applied, I think, right before we put a moratorium on solar development, and then while that moratorium was in place, we wrote a solar ordinance. All right, so attachment A is the project. We got that. That's attachment A. Attachment B is also part of that plan. This is the site layout. This has got proposed meter poles. they're giving themselves almost a 250-foot buffer from the edge of the river as a potential flood hazard area. It slopes down, so that river would have to rise quite a bit to actually reach that solar array.
Mhm.
But we all know that river's capable of it.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at this temporary concrete washout facility. So there's another diagram here with how to stabilize construction, entrance, erosion control blanket. Right, so they don't want, as they're digging up dirt to put down these solar panels, you don't want that dirt to wash down into the river. So they've got to put down, here's stabilization blankets and reinforcement mats to keep that runoff from going in the river. Don't know what is this washout facility?
Which one?
This bottom diagram, temporary concrete washout facility. Where did that go? Is that up by the road? That might be up by the road. Oh, yeah, it's up by the road, right by the entrance. They stabilize the construction entrance. There's a CMP meter pole, proposed CMP pole, temporary concrete washout. Proposed project pole, proposed project riser and recloser pole. So as they're putting in that road, they have to put something in there just to stabilize that from washing out, I guess. So maintaining temporary concrete washout facilities shall include removing and disposing of hardened concrete and or slurry and returning the facility to a functional condition. Facility shall be cleared or reconstructed in a new area once the washout becomes 2/3 full. Oh, so if they're taking debris, they're basically burying it on the land? Is that what that looks like?
So that's this temporary washout facility.
Yep.
Um,
Don't they put concrete pads under every one of these things?
Hmm.
But we can ask him, what is a temporary washout facility? No questions. And it might be if they're pouring little concrete bases for every one of these solar panels. Maybe every so often they have to
I-
wash out their equipment.
where it says, yeah, I think that's what it's for, and then anything that collects in it, though, they will remove and take with them. I believe.
Well, once it becomes full, it'll be cleaned or reconstructed in a new area. So it may become just a repository for concrete waste.
So they leave it there then? They're gonna leave it there and bury it? Or what are they gonna do?
I don't know, we'll have to ask. I don't understand, it's on my list of things to ask. Learn something new every day. All right, attachment A, let's look at the lease. Here's attachment A. Oh, that's the site plan, okay. The lease option agreement as provided in attachment B. So in this application, Dawn, they've taken every item of the ordinance, recreated it, and then put their response to that underneath it.
Oh, wow. Did you email me that copy of that? I didn't see it.
Oh, I
No,
can't. It's a,
too long. Or I can just, maybe pick it up at the office.
I will run over and drop it off when we leave here.
Huh?
I'll run it over and drop it off when we leave here.
Oh, okay.
You're right down the street.
So why am I not seeing, like, what is attached?
I don't see them either.
Yeah, like, what are the attachments?
I'm not seeing attachment A and B. Is that, hold on. So this is the problem for me, and that's my apologies. There's, this is an email string going back to 2023. And it's got different attachments at different times, and when I try to find the most recent one, I get weird attachments.
Hmm.
So this was from, those are the attachments from November 23. February 25, May 15th, 25. May 15th. Blah, 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 May 16th. May 17th. Okay, so this says see the attached application in a Dropbox. Four. Two. Okay, so on May 17th, I just forwarded you, you said there's attachments, but then I also see there's a link to a Dropbox there. Let me see if that's got the right thing. May 16th, attachment Dropbox. There you go.
So did the applicants not do like just one PDF with, let's say, all of the components to them?
There should be, I think he sent something for, because he was waiting for that last little noise thing.
Right,
And we said, if you got the rest of it 99.9% complete, let's just take a look at it and start to go through. And if we see any obvious missing things, we can let them know. But we said the next meeting in 2 weeks would be an official review. So this is just to get ourselves oriented to the application.
right.
So in somewhere in that email you're getting, there should be a link to a Dropbox, all attachments PDF.
What day was that?
I think the 17th of May.
Yeah, I don't have anything for the 17th.
And that's something you sent to us on
I
the
just
17th?
just forwarded to you.
Oh, just
like a
forwarded,
minute
okay.
ago. I mean, it came when I was out of the country and I was not always getting emails, so I didn't check that.
I got it. Okay, I have it now. Thank you.
Alright, well, and I see that there's a, okay, so. In this Dropbox, which I can't access at the moment, there's. Detailed site plan. So let me try to download it out, I gotta sign into Dropbox. With email to get into Dropbox. So this says, it's got attachments, say all attachment B, attachment release, attachment this, but those are all from 2023. I don't even know if those are still current.
Yeah, I don't see any of the attachments.
There should be, yeah, I hate these long strings like this, especially in Gmail, because they're very hard to find their attachments. All right, I'll take a look when I get back home and dive into each of these further and see what we've got. So I want to download everything in this. Oh, I have downloaded. Hang on. So this application that I printed off today might not have all the attachments. I don't, I'll call this guy and see what we're doing here. This has got the signed lease, regulatory letters, wetland delineation report. He's got individual, but these were. Oh, yeah, so this is a combination of 20 days ago, 8 days ago, 5 days ago, last month. October 2023. So this is a folder with all kinds of documents in it. I will call them and say, look, we're not gonna sit here and download 15 different documents. You need to put these into one file and give us one file.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
so there is a state agency review of natural habitat cultural resources. There is a wetland delineation. Shoreland zoning. But this has got a protected area of 250 feet from the river, which really means they're compatible with the shoreline zoning ordinance. They are gonna remove some existing vegetation, no grading is planned. Piles to support the racking system can be installed along the existing contours. As part of long-term maintenance, the vegetation of the site will be managed as a field with annual cutting to ensure it does not grow up and shade the solar panels. So they're gonna, I guess, plant it as a field. They will have erosion control plans consistent with state guidelines. So operation and maintenance of the site is primarily conducted by monitoring system performance remotely. Conducting site visits to perform corrective maintenance in response to abnormalities in operations and implementing an annual preventive maintenance protocol to ensure optimum. performance. They don't expect any traffic. It's gonna take them 6 months approximately to build the place. This is participating in Maine's solar program. Power from the project will be virtually sold to nearby municipalities and businesses, will help these entities save on their utility bills. After its useful life, which is expected to be a minimum of 25 years, the facility will be decommissioned in accordance with the decommissioning plan. The site will be returned to its natural condition. So in section 6 of our ordinance, we ask for a description of the owner, which they give here. We talk about the lease, which they do also attach. A description of how and to whom the energy produced will be sold. That's that one of those attachments that's in this Dropbox.
Oh, in the Dropbox, okay.
Yeah,
Where's,
Oh,
yeah, he should number these pages too.
that would be helpful.
well, there you go, okay, thank you.
Application requirement, section 6 of the ordinance itself. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, thank you.
So a copy of the agreement, schematic details of the connection arrangement with the transmission system. So attachment C is their interconnection agreement with Central Maine Power, which not to get. Layout design and installation shall conform, blah, 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 blah. That's attachment F. Which has data sheets that align with all of the American Society for Testing and Materials, etc. The panel, they're very, this is good detail. Panels will be Silfab 570-watt solar panels. 2,400 modules and 96 strings. That didn't feel like it was that big of a piece of land, but I guess it is. Look at that drawing. Wow. All right.
How do they? Um. Like the wattage, how does that like classified. Cause if you, do you just take the amount of watts each panel is, multiply it by the modules, which would be 1
Oh,
million.
there's a formula, power
368.
equals, oh god, I remember this from my engineering days.
Yeah.
I just went, cause that sounds like that's more than.
Right, this is not, this is,
Wait a minute,
you say 2,400 times 570.
so at the beginning of it. The area enclosed by the project is probably 5.71 acres. The solar array is comprised of 2016 solar PV modules,
Mhm.
but then in,
The text it says 2,400,
yes,
okay. Which one is it? Good questions. We can also ask for the calculation of wattage. I mean, they don't always work up to full capacity either, you know what I mean?
so, yeah, that's what I'm trying, like, how do you, because it's, we rated it off of kilowatts. How many watts are in a kilowatt?
1,000,
And a medium solar array cannot be more than how many?
one megawatt,
So,
which is I think 1,000. So can you do 2016 times 570?
how many watts in a megawatt? 1 million. Can do what now?
Just 2016 times 570.
Oops, I was. 1,149,120. So if,
I know there's a capacity thing that says they're not, that's their, 570 watts is their maximum capacity.
yep,
Nothing ever runs at maximum. So there's some number there that's some percentage less than that, but we can ask him for the actual calculation.
okay.
All right, good question. So it may take about a year from the time we approve local permits to the time they're up and operating.
It seems like it's up to CMP.
Yeah.
I don't like that passive sentence though, because it's hard to know who the actor is.
In
The
which-
online date will depend on upgrades required to be implemented by CMP. This could take an additional 6 months. Are they saying CMP is the actor there, or that they're the actor?
Well, I think when we talked to the other people who've asked about solar panels as well, they said CMP has been the holdup on a number of things. So
Hmm.
we can ask specifically what CMP upgrades need to happen.
I heard something. Well, I read something about some of the pieces that are coming over from China,
Mhm.
like the inverters and things like that. Actually, they have found communication devices within them that could be triggered remotely to like literally shut down the grid.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you hearing this information?
Where did I hear that? Hold on.
My number one question to my children and my friends, where's your source? What is the source of your information? Because I don't know. I watch way too many spy novels, movies, and read a lot of spy novels.
Mhm.
So you're like,
It was on Reuters.
oh,
Rogue communication devices found in found in Chinese solar power inverters.
They are a news wire of reputation, right?
Yep.
From the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
All right, well. I hope they're inspecting them.
Now I'll sleep better tonight. I say that facetiously.
That's right. So attachment G is their operating and maintenance plans, which I'd like to get off that Dropbox, because it says that's their access to installation, which we know the fire department wants to know how they're gonna get in there. It says they've got plans to include beneficial promotion of flora and fauna, like honeybees, butterflies. And commitment to not using pest control substances, so no
Oh, good.
pesticides, herbicides, fungicides.
Oh, good,
insecticides.
because our ordinance talks about that.
Yep. So they do have an attachment H is their emergency management plan. Which should be reviewed by the local EMA and local fire chief and have their sign off. We'll see if that's, if they've done that yet. They may have the attachment H, their emergency I don't know if they've talked to Rob or Jason and actually have them review it and sign it off yet. We will find out. The applicant will conduct training with local safety officials how to turn the system off to allow safe access to control any hazardous conditions and provide a 24-hour contact information. All right.
What is this that I was seeing here, the agreement that this organization has with Central Maine Power? So this would be on the Dropbox, on the signed IA level 2 BAP
Mhm.
Power Corp. If I'm looking at exhibit 2 and it says insurance requirements. And it says. The customer is responsible for having insurance for their interconnection. Please see below requirements of insurance and provide an updated insurance certificate annually. But it says, for non-inverter based generating facilities, it says generating capacity less than or equal to, oh, actually, okay, let me see. Okay, they'd be under generating capacity greater than 500 kilowatts up to and including 2 megawatts, $1 million. But then it says on another category, for inverter based generating facilities, generating capacity less than or equal to 1 megawatt, no insurance required. Do we know what the difference of those terms are? I don't even know what those
Nope.
are.
Nope.
So I'm curious.
Where was that?
That's on the Dropbox. I pulled up their signed IA level that to BAP Power Corp, meaning
Okay,
their agreement with,
That's attachment C.
yeah, attachment C.
Okay. They're checking on inverter versus non-inverter.
And this would be page 14, the last page.
Insurance requirements, okay,
Because to me, I'm not sure what those terms mean, so I'd like them
Yep.
to kind of explain that.
well, he said he could be at our next meeting,
Well,
and I
that'd be
said,
good.
if you have your application complete, show up, that would be
Right.
great, if it's not complete. We'll wait for the complete application.
Right,
now, do we mention the contradictions and stuff before he sends their final application in?
I think we do.
Okay,
what contradictions now,
so
Mr.
like at the beginning of it, it talks about project description,
Mhm.
about how many panels there are.
Right, 2016, but in the body it says 2,400.
Yeah,
Oh,
So I'll write that list of questions that I'm taking notes on from here, run it by you guys, make sure we've got all the questions, and then we'll shoot that over to him.
Okay.
Stormwater management plan was attachment I. The background noise measurement, item 11, is what he was doing, supposedly doing today.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Number 11, the background noise measurement was what he was gonna do today,
Oh, yes.
that we had that information. They do have bonding capability, which is opposed attachment J. The decommissioning plan, I know I've seen some stuff online about people going, yeah, once they decommission them, they just dump them, and I don't know. I've never seen official decommissioning plan, I don't know what that really
I
means.
think they might,
Say about life expectancy is 25 years.
Minimum
According
of
to that.
25, that's a minimum of 25 years, and at the, they could be choosing to upgrade and keep it going, or they could.
Does the,
their
Stop it.
Dropbox submission has decommissioning plan as K, as like attachment K.
Yep. So you got into the Dropbox,
I was able to, yes, I just
Okay.
clicked on the link.
okay,
0.996 megawatt capacity, so right under.
Yeah.
Yeah, one.
so it says here, Don, that if they could trigger the decommissioning plan. If somehow they get, the capacity starts to drop and it's like 10% or less of the permitted capacity is generated for 12 months, it's basically a dead unit. Perhaps something else could happen, a force of nature that somehow interrupts generation of electricity. If a force of nature happens, a tornado or something knocks it out, they don't have to decommission it. Perhaps they can, they're just gonna rebuild potentially. So there's a whole paragraph here on what's included in that plan. Physically remove all energy system solar related components, including foundations, building, cabling, electric components, blah, blah, blah. All earth disturbed during the decommissioning must be graded, reseeded. Unless the landowner has a different plan for it. The applicant may provide evidence of plans for continued beneficial use of any or all of the components of the solar energy system. That's a may. Do we want to make that a requirement? So if they choose to at the time of decommissioning, they have to come and tell us what they're going to do with all those components. Whether it's going to landfill, whether it's being repurposed elsewhere.
The plan mentioned that it could go to landfill and it says, what it says here is it says, the exterior glass of the solar panels is commercial grade and tempered, designed to significantly reduce a complete fracture. However, in the event of a total fracture, the interior materials are silicon based and are not considered to be hazardous materials. Disposal of these materials at a landfill will be permissible. At least that section, that particular section.
So we require, or I think the state requires as well. And under this thing, and item D, demonstration in the form of a performance bond, a surety bond, a letter of credit, or other form of financial assurance that may be acceptable to the planning board, that upon the end of the useful life of the solar energy system, the applicant will have the necessary financial assurance in place for 150% of the estimated total cost of decommissioning, subject to a review of such a cost by the code enforcement officer. The financial assurance shall include a provision granting the town the ability to access the funds and property and perform the decommissioning if the facility is abandoned or the applicant or subsequent responsible party fails to meet their obligations. After reasonable notice, to be defined in the agreement approved by the planning board. For a medium scale, the applicant may propose securing the necessary financial assurance in phases, as long as the total required financial assurance is in place a minimum of 5 years prior to the expected end of the useful life of the solar system.
Well, they're saying here in the meeting, I mean, and when I say they, I mean the Tonello group. They're saying on number 12 that you might have already mentioned, but it says proof of financial capacity to construct and operate the proposed facility. Synergy has significant bonding capability,
Right.
which is a fundamental measure of financial capacity. That's a C attachment J, so I'm wondering if.
Well, and Jim K
Yeah.
is their decommissioning plan and form for a surety bond. So we could find out what other towns are using as a decommissioning cost
Mhm.
and say, you know, and get confirmation, this is an estimated decommissioning cost, and you have to provide a surety bond equal to 150% of that cost.
They have it in here in this thing that they would cover 150%
Yep,
D of the essential total cost of decommissioning, subject to review
yep,
of such cost by the code enforcement officer.
yep. Hmm. All right,
And that's in our ordinance as well, that percentage is 150%.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, everything in bold that he's got in here is directly taken from our ordinance.
That's- It sort of
Because
reminds me of our other,
this-
so. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Don.
It says here that they can build, they don't have to put the 150% in at one time, that it would be. Has to be in there 5 years prior to the expected end of the useful life of the solar system. Who maintains, who keeps that money in case the company goes out of business?
Well, that's what the bond does. A bond company holds that money.
Oh, okay, the bond, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So they basically put the money aside for somebody else. They're holding it for us, like an escrow kind of a thing, but. I mean,
But
we've
it says
gotten,
they
oh, go ahead.
expanded on the reasonable. So basically, they have up to 20 years to get that money in bond.
Correct. Now, we could say, hey, we've agreed to the decommissioning price of $1 million, let's say. It's gonna cost them that much to tear it all down, take it all away, dispose of it, and reorganize, put that land back in the same condition. So let's just say it's $1 million. They have to put in 1.5 million, get a bond for 1.5 million. Now, we say every 5 years, we want you to put a quarter of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So-
that at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, at the
They
end of
might-
20 years, you have it.
Well, and do they, like, cause the cost in 20 years could be a lot higher than the cost is today. That's why I'd love to see what other towns who've done solar installations have used for a decommissioning cost. And how do
What
you
about the-
calculate?
What about the one that's in existing in Canton up on, Lake
I don't
Hill?
know.
That was what we had no solar ordinance then, but we had the commercial use ordinance, and basically what the presenters did there is they utilized what was available in our ordinances and answered those questions. So they
So
were
is there-
responding to us, but yeah.
Are they responsible for tearing that down and?
Well,
At the
yes,
end of
because I believe the state of Maine requires that in their licensing from the state.
Oh,
So
okay.
the decommissioning plan is a state requirement as well. But I don't think that bond goes to the state. I think the bond goes to the town. But I can call the solar people at the state too and say, hey, how do you guys determine decommissioning costs?
It's a good question. It's a very good question.
Cool. Yeah, this may not actually be ready by July.
I don't think so.
So. So standard for approval, section 7. Are things that looks pretty basic stuff.
Land
the
will-
noise-
So basically, they're gonna lease the land from the individuals that own it.
Right. Well, yeah. And so that was the rub. You weren't here when one of the reasons we put in this ordinance was because another company had put together plans for a huge
Hmm. Oh, it's gone.
a gigantic solar
Facility.
plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it was in the old fairgrounds area and part of it was towards the windmills, kind of up behind
Yep.
Canton Point Road. One project, two different locations, but basically all tied together, and that was almost, did we say 400 acres?
It's like 430.
Yeah, 430 acres. It was huge. And I don't know that people realized how big it was. Cause they held a public meeting a long time ago and they had people here at like little stations around the room, right? So you could go and talk to the guy about the fencing and the animals. You can go somewhere else and talk about how they're gonna, mow the grass, but not use any insecticides or blah, blah, blah. I mean, so they had people breaking down little sections of it, answering all these questions. But there's also the people that owned that land were gonna make a pretty substantial income from leasing that land.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just sat for several years while they're getting all their state permits, but whoever, I forget the engineering company right now, but they put a lot of money into designing and installing and getting the stuff, and then we put a moratorium, and then we basically said, you can't do any more big ones. So, and I think the people who were expecting that lease revenue were really ticked off about it.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but in the lease option agreement. Attachment B, there are details that have been redacted.
Like the amount. Of-
Right,
yeah,
right, that part.
We don't need to know how much they're.
No, but it's kind of
the solar
interesting.
energy. Well, we had somebody came to our land over on 108 and they offered me money to put solar over there. And I said, first of all, you need to go look at that because it's pretty wet at the bottom of that land. And they're like, oh, so they walked it, they're like, okay, we have to reduce the size because we thought we'd come down, and I said, no, we're not doing that, so. Anyway,
It's pretty sad though when one has a redacted document and then you just kind of put your cursor over it and slide across it and then you see the words, it's like, not the best redaction here.
did you ever see that movie Hidden Figures about the,
Yes.
and they're confidential things about the race to the moon, right? And this analyst had a redacted document and they're like, how do you know about such and such a molecule? She's like, I held it up to the light, you can read right through it. Very low scientific.
Or send an email that use white text.
Oh, there you go.
Then no one can see it unless you highlight everything.
Right.
But yes.
There's no lighting on this project. Stormwater management is in attachment I. Utilities connections are there. So the applicant will coordinate with local, I'm under 15 here, applicant will coordinate local public safety personnel to develop emergency response plan. We can ask about that. Has that been done yet?
Oh. Let's see.
So this company has constructed 15 solar projects in the state of Maine over the past 5 years. So they have demonstrated the capacity to develop, construct, and operate a solar facility in Maine. We can certainly take a look at their other sites. I could certainly call those towns and see what they're doing for decommissioning.
Yes, they're okay on the lease. I was just noticing the project says up to 1 megawatt, but that's okay if they're under.
Right. I think we said in our plan up to, but not including.
Right.
1 megawatt.
So what would happen if they propose they're gonna be under 1 megawatt? But then once it's up and running, it's producing more than that.
Well,
You gotta
it could
unplug the panel?
be possible.
I don't know.
I
Just
don't
in
know if
case.
that could be possible, because I think they know what they can max out at. I don't know if they could go exceed it. I mean, I don't know if it would be literally possible.
Right,
Somebody else I talked to said, they're rated for a certain capacity, but because of the daylight and the time, you never actually get what that capacity is, but I don't know how much you're assuming. Like, is it 90% capacity? I don't know.
It says up to, but not including. So it's good. Okay, I mean, to know, I mean, I'm not opining.
So attachment M, I've not, there was photographs of the site, attachment M.
I saw them.
That's their visual impact statement. And N. Sightline analysis. Well. that- You got that from that email that I just sent you, Brad? You can get to the Dropbox from there?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
yes.
so
Mhm.
Don, you should be able to, that email that I just sent over, if you look through that stream of emails, there's a Dropbox link. You should be able to go to that Dropbox link and see
One you
everything.
just sent, right?
Yep,
Where would I find that? I'm not seeing it.
open the email and then kind of, I don't know if you scroll up and down, I don't know.
Well, I think I clicked this one, so what it is so at the top, we have. I think
Oh.
this is the where you emailed,
Oh, I got it.
let's-
I got it.
oh,
I got it.
Okay. Okay, so I can print all this out and we can PDF it into one document. But he should certainly be able to provide, he should be able to provide that in a bound document for us, for the records for the town.
So. Oh, I got the plan there.
I was surprised by the number of buttons they have too. That's,
Well, you got all the people across the street, I think, right?
Mhm.
yes. I think. So,
Yeah, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no.
yeah, well, they've
Well,
listed
this was
10,
their viewpoints. I don't know that these are all abutters. But these were a line of sight analysis for houses. So 10 viewpoint
Oh.
locations were identified as representing the area. They kind of looked at it from a number of different angles.
Mhm. Okay. So that's,
Okay, so. Okay, site plan, A, B, lease agreement.
Right, those are all the attachments he refers to in the other document.
Yeah, but on it, all it has is the titles. I'm going down all the way through it. Maybe the next one will
Well-
have it.
oh, but if you, so if you click on the titles, meaning it.
Oh,
it will
okay,
say you- Yeah,
Should get the whole document.
let me see. Yeah, I'm in attachment A.
So I'll send Mr. Barrett the questions we have so far. I don't know that anything is really missing other than the things that we've cited here. But I will ask him to produce maybe 2 complete bound copies. I don't know, we don't have that in our ordinance, right? That says you have to produce. We usually do in something.
Um,
Hold on, application process.
Okay,
oh. I was just looking at their wetland delineation report. And it says here. Wetland area number 1 is associated with the stream flowing through the property. It is likely that this stream is a protected water body and subject to setbacks under the Maine Natural Resources Protection Act and Town of Canton Shoreland Zoning Ordinance. It is recommended that an official determination of the status be requested from the Maine Department of Environmental Protection and the Town of Canton.
Okay.
Then there's also, they identify another one. Wetland number 2 is an isolated forested wetland located at the base of a steeply sloped old pit face. Any alteration of this wetland would be subject to the requirements of the Natural Resource Protection Act. But I'm thinking that first one, the applicants might want us to, determine.
Yep,
Where,
Okay, this is on attachment E, wetland delineation report. This is from Green Environmental. Oh, his name is actually Richard A. Green.
for sure, okay,
oh,
and EPA.
okay. All right,
All
I got
right.
it. I found them.
So we'll have to take a look.
They talk about setbacks here.
Yep, I might, in his map, how far is he set back from those? With his little drawings here. So I'm looking
let's
for the
see.
stream that's going through the, oh, I see, so there's a wetland here, this green is a wetland?
Oh, nice, okay.
Um. They're a little bit more than 30 feet from I think from the wetland, it's hard to look at the lines, it's here, it's hard to see.
At least in the original proposal, our CEO didn't think there was a problem.
Right.
As far as the distance from the river, for example.
No, the distance from the
That could
river
be-
should be fine, because that's 250 feet, that's fine for shoreline zoning.
Oh, but it's the green parts that,
That's what I think they're looking at. We should, right now with all the rain we're getting, this would be a good time to go look at it, actually.
Yeah.
See, because it was pretty dry, I think, when we were there before.
yes.
Taking a look, now would be a good time to go look at that.
It also says for wetland area number 1 and area number 2 on the wetland delineation port, it says. Alteration of the stream or its associated wetland may require a permit from the US Army Corps of Engineers.
Right,
And he said that for both sections.
well, I mean, one is not affecting a wetland. I mean, like this, if this is the other wetland over here, this isn't really affecting anything. This one's a little tight up here. Right, that's pretty close to where their road is coming in.
Right.
So we'll have to
He's-
see.
Yeah,
I mean, they're talking a 30-foot roadside buffer. And putting a chain link fence, so they're looking at that being on the outside of the fence. And not being in any, now, when they're first building and constructing and moving stuff around in there, that could be the problem.
Hmm.
They've got a 20-foot stormwater buffer area. Between their fence and that. That proposed, that whatever that, if that's the stream, that wetland, they've got a 20-foot buffer.
Is this the one on the north that you're
Yes,
looking at? Okay,
yep. It says right there on the side, proposed 20-foot by 100-foot stormwater buffer area.
oh, I see it now. Yes, okay. What does TYP? I don't know if that's,
I think that's typical, like a typical wetland, or that's.
Okay.
Hmm. Well, we could certainly ask him about the DEP review of that. Did he get a DEP review? So let me get all those attachments printed out and put into this document where they belong, and then we can have one big document to look at instead of 12 different attachments.
oh, that'd be nice.
So do we request DEP to look at it, or do they have to?
I don't know, I'll have to look at that thing.
Cause that's the recommendation from. Green Environmental that looked at it.
Yeah, that's what I have on my notes of things for him.
Okay,
How do you respond to Green Environmental's recommendation?
okay,
I mean, we can ask him to do stuff. I don't think we're not accountable for doing stuff. You know, we can certainly look at the like shoreline zoning ordinance
mhm.
but the 250 feet should be fine there.
When was the last time those changed, 2018, or did we do something more recently? Because on this Google Drive, I'm seeing the 2018 ones, but wasn't sure if anything.
For shoreline zoning,
I think 18 is the most recent one,
Okay.
but that doesn't really talk about, well. I know the phrase is in there constantly about a great river wetland.
Right.
And blah, blah, from certain bodies of, and I forget the phrase, it's repeated in there many times, but
Normal high water line of a
Yes.
water body or within a wetland.
that's right, that's right. And that phrase shows up many times in there.
Hmm.
And I don't remember how far it says the setback is. I know 250 feet, it should be fine from the river, but
Setback. None.
or buffer could be another word that's used in there.
Hmm.
So I have a number of questions for him. The DEPPs. Once we've given him back some review, the final application needs to be all put together in one document, and he should give us like 2 printed out copies of it.
Okay.
Want to check on the inverter versus non-inverter and the insurance requirements. We want to add page numbers. We want to check on the calculation for capacity. And the difference between the 260 units in one area and the 2,400 units in another area. We want to ask about what CMP upgrades need to happen. I want to know, do they inspect their components coming from China for any clandestine additions that might have been put in there?
right,
If they have not already gotten a review and sign off from the EMA and local chief, what's their plan for doing that? You gotta complete their background noise measurements. We need to talk to the state or get decommissioning costs from other towns. And negotiate a time to get that surety bond in place. Do they have it immediately, or are they gonna do it over 4 years? That emergency response plan is in there. What else? What else? What else? I didn't see a problem with the tree buffer at 50 feet and whether they plant, we should ask whether are they planting anything else? We'll have to look at his pictures. Pre-commissioning inspection. Oh, that's after everything's built, and then we just. Somebody walks through and gives it his blessing before they plug it in and go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, interesting. Interesting. Any other pieces of this application?
I couldn't do that.
I'm sorry, I was thinking we do make sure he knows that for a public hearing, he's got to send a notice to all the abutters about that public hearing whenever that's scheduled.
I like the pre-commissioning inspection they're talking about. That would be nice.
When's the public hearing hasn't been scheduled, has it?
No, because we don't have a completed application yet. So
Oh,
we
from
have to
him.
get Yep, we have to need a final application from him that meets all, and we have to check off that our application is complete. And then that it's compliant,
Okay,
and then we hold a public hearing,
He also needs to fill one of those out.
yes. Yeah,
There it is. Any public comment?
there's no one here but us. Dawn, it's kind of an empty room.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Oh, our next meeting would be,
the 19th. Oh, that is Juneteenth. Which,
and that's my name.
that's his birthday?
So I'll be gone, but I would love to, of course, be here another time before my term expires, if the, I don't know.
So do we want to hold a meeting on Juneteenth?
Why
That's the
not?
question.
What's
Doesn't matter to me.
Juneteenth?
That's the new federal holiday. When was it adopted? 2 years ago?
I think
It's,
so.
it actually has a lot of historical roots in Texas. Because that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but, that's when the slaves in Texas were notified that they were free, which they had actually been free for
A long time.
years
Over a year,
already,
2 years. I
but they
think.
celebrated the news.
Yeah.
And so it was first done in I guess, this is my assumption, I don't know if it started in Texas, but there were certain states that celebrated. But then it became a federal holiday. I think Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee was the one who was always trying to and have this become a federal holiday, and it ultimately did with very few dissenting votes. It was a super majority in support, so that's a new federal holiday.
And that was Galveston, wasn't it? I think it was,
Um,
we were in Houston, we went down to Galveston, and I think,
yes, Galveston, it commemorates June 1865, when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced that enslaved people in the state were free, effectively ending slavery in the last bastion of the Confederacy.
Okay, well,
well, I know the town office, I believe, will be closed that day because it is a federal holiday, but I don't know that we are obligated to not hold our meeting on that day.
Although I'd be happy
I'm okay
to
with
have it
holding the meeting.
not on the day of his birthday, I won't be, I hope
you
not to
won't
be
be.
excused, but
Yes.
if. The date is not agreeable and the planning board wants to schedule another one, I'd be happy to join and try to do what I can in service to the board before.
Are you getting
will
done?
I'm getting done for the time being.
Oh, no.
Well, you might have public now though, because then I could show up on the public section.
Well, that's true, that's true.
Oh,
So, I mean, officially, your term ends at the end of June, right?
the end of June.
Okay, so when are you out of town that week?
I am gone until I think I come back the Monday, just a few days after the 19th. And I'll be here for even town meeting. I leave the day after to travel to Mississippi first. And then from Mississippi, I will then travel with the family to Florida. Well, the family will be with me in Mississippi, but.
So what dates are gonna be back in town?
Okay, so I'll be back in town. I think I'll be back, oh yeah, I'll be back the 23rd, like in the evening of the 23rd on Monday, and then I'm back in Maine. That's
I
the
think
Monday.
Robin's coming back shortly. Also,
I mean, if we want to move our meeting to a different day, that's fine.
It's fine with me too.
so what day?
What about the 24th?
Yeah. Should we do
It's
the
a
24th?
Tuesday.
That should work.
And will we be going over the same ordinance or will we be working on something different?
I think well, hopefully if he's submitted a completed application, we'll do a more stringent review of that application.
Okay,
I would, if that, we do it the 24th, I would love to have the comp plan draft at
That
that
would be
point.
nice.
it would be nice.
And that's, I'm talking to myself there as far as my, I'm not
Yeah.
saying anything, you know.
No, 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 I don't take it. And then you can, as you end your term, you can feel like, I've actually contributed to this whole thing. That would be a lovely piece of work to have.
Oh, that would be,
Advance.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, I'm on it.
And I love public service, so I mean, this is just I would say a temporary situation, shall we say.
Okay, we're gonna hold you to that. You have to say that.
Mhm.
So,
when are our terms up?
well,
Kathy
mine
knows.
is in June.
Okay,
And,
I think I was the only one on the ballot when I ran, so.
yeah,
It,
I was a
nobody
write-in.
else's term.
well, Dawn was gonna run, or I mean, Robin was gonna run for select board.
So
Oh,
she's
yeah.
not gonna be doing it either?
I don't know.
She might be appointed afterward,
I
if
don't
it
know.
doesn't
I
work
don't know
out,
what's
but,
going on.
you know.
We'll have to see.
And then when does Dawn, your appointments for a year, is it?
3.
Oh, the select board appointed you to 3?
Did you take out papers this year?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so you're on the ballot, so you.
Oh,
she'll
she's
still
on
be
the ballot.
For
Oh,
a new
okay.
3-year term.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was appointed for a year first, and then I ran.
Yep.
And so 4 years, it's like a blink.
I know, blink of an
that's
eye.
crazy. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna be missed.
Well, thank you, I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Story.
But I'm definitely gonna keep track on what's going on, you know, with YouTube now and see how I can contribute. And I mean, if I'm this close, I might as well even show up in person, not just on the screen, you know.
So Tom, you ran last time, didn't you? Or did you just, you waited, 'cause
I-
you tried for school board and then you got appointed for this, right?
Yes, I want to say I was a write-in.
Oh, that's right.
And they asked me,
I may have written you in.
yeah, so,
So that would leave us with 3 and maybe somebody else will write in. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Very good.
All right.
well, I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, I second it.
All those in favor?
7:35, all right.
7:35.